Ever notice how some of the smartest people you know don't argue, don't explain, and don't even try to fix relationships anymore? They just quietly disappear? No drama, no long goodbye. No emotional breakdown, they simply cut people off. And at first it looks cold, even selfish. But psychology tells a very different story, because in reality, cutting people off is often not an emotional reaction. It's a cognitive decision. Smart people don't disconnect because they don't care. They disconnect because they care too much about their mental clarity. Here's what most people don't understand. Highly intelligent individuals tend to process social patterns faster than others. They notice repetition. They recognize emotional cycles. They see when an apology has no behavioral change behind it. And once their brain identifies a predictable pattern, it stops seeking new outcomes. From the same person, that's the first key shift. They stop expecting change where there is no evidence of it, while many people stay stuck hoping this time it will be different. Smart individuals hit a point where their mind says, I already solved this equation, once the answer is clear. They lose interest in rerunning the problem, but there's something deeper going on. Psychologists call it emotional cost-benefit analysis. Every relationship requires mental energy, emotional regulation, and time investment. Smart people, especially those who are self-aware, unconsciously tracking that cost. Not in a cold way, but in a survival-of-focus way, because their attention is their most valuable resource. So, when a relationship becomes repetitive, draining, confusing, or emotionally unstable, their brain starts asking a simple question: what am I actually gaining from this pattern? And if the answer keeps coming back as stress, inconsistency, or emotional exhaustion, detachment becomes a logical outcome, not revenge, not anger, just efficiency. Another powerful reason is something called emotional contamination. Smart people are often highly sensitive to environments. They absorb tone, energy, microbehaviors, and unspoken tension. When they stay around toxic or chaotic personalities too long, it doesn't just affect their mood, it disrupts their thinking, and when thinking clarity is disrupted, everything else in life suffers. Work, goals, discipline, even self-identity. So cutting someone off is sometimes not about the person at all. It's about protecting mental architecture. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Smart individuals usually give multiple silent chances before they disconnect. They observe. They test. They mentally map behavior over time. And during this phase, they often become emotionally distant without announcing it. By the time they actually cut someone off, the relationship already ended in their mind. Weeks or even months earlier. That's why the other person feels shocked. They were still in the conversation. But the smart person had already exited internally. There's also a psychological concept called threshold fatigue. Every time a boundary is crossed, disrespect, inconsistency, dishonesty, the brain stores it. One incident doesn't break a relationship, but repeated small violations lower tolerance over time. Eventually, the emotional threshold collapses, and once that threshold is gone, reconnecting becomes almost impossible, because trust doesn't rebuild through words for them, it rebuilds through consistent behavior over time. And at that point, most smart people simply don't have the patience left to restart that cycle. But perhaps the most misunderstood reason is self-respect. Not ego, not pride. Self-respect. They begin to realize something powerful. Every relationship teaches other people how to treat you, and if they tolerate disrespect, inconsistency, or emotional instability for too long, they are indirectly training others to continue it. So, cutting people off becomes a form of psychological reset, a way to restore standards, way to protect identity, a way to reclaim mental peace. Now, here's the truth most people miss. Smart people don't cut people off easily. They just stop. Over-explaining their boundaries, they stop chasing closure. They stop trying to fix people who repeatedly show they don't want to change, and from the outside, it looks sudden, but internally, It was a slow, logical, emotional withdrawal that started long before the final silence. So if someone smart has cut you off, it usually didn't happen in a moment of anger. It happened in a moment of clarity. And clarity, once reached, rarely argues. If this breakdown helped you understand human behavior on a deeper level, subscribe to the channel because we explore the hidden psychology behind everyday decisions most people never talk about.